Yes, so Hairless here. Today we have a recent poll winner. This is Rainy Days and Mondays by Carpenters, or The Carpenters as I always thought they were called, apparently not. It's a song from 1971, over 50 years ago. Richard would have been about 25 at the time and Karen only 21. You can vote on these polls by joining our Patreon, linked in the description. Carpenters, I know some of their songs, I feel like one or two of their songs are simply impossible to have never heard at some point in your life, either on the radio or in TV or film or something like that. Overall, though, I'm really not too familiar with them. I do know how tragic the passing was of Karen Carpenter. She was quite young. I know she was iconic for playing the drums whilst singing. The lyrics for this song, as you see on the screen now, are not the most happy, shall we say. We could have probably guessed that by the song's title. But, as always, love is the knight in shining armor, it seems. So why don't we hop on in and see what this is about? I'm kind of expecting something a little bit calm. I'm feeling quite calm today, so it could work well. I guess we'll see. Nice bit of harmonica, huh?
Talking to myself and feeling old. Sometimes I'd like to quit. Nothing ever seems to fit. Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. What I've got they used to call the blues. Nothing is really wrong. Feeling like I don't belong. Walking around some kind of lonely cloud. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. It seems that
there's just a really interesting harmonic choice that they do here after singing the arguably most important line of the song, Rainy Days and Mondays Always Get Me Down. Where I'm just really expecting this line to finish on E flat, that's the home key, so the root chord. But no, they don't do that.
Always get me down.
We can hear in the bass repeating, and it's just kind of building up tension instead of getting, which is the root note. But yeah, sorry, I just had to say that. It was giving me tension and suspense, which is really interesting considering how, well, I would say that this is quite a calm song. Starting with the harmonica we've been hearing. When the instruments came in after a while, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds or so, we're getting strings in there, very subtle percussion. The opening, just voice and a very light piano. Sorry, that's the harmonica, of course.
And feeling old. Sometimes I'd like.
The piano sounds like it's been muted, you know, they're doing a lot to create this calm feel, which from the few Carpenter songs that I have heard before, I think is maybe a staple of their sound. Her voice is certainly recognizable. It's a lovely voice, lovely voice. I really like how she says her S's as well. There's none of this really strong sibilance.
Rainy days and Mondays always get me.
It's a very muted S sound, which I just happen to like. Well, while we've stopped, I'll just say another couple of things I found interesting. New artist to the channel. As usual, I don't know how strict copyright will be, so it's better to be safe than sorry. If you don't like the pauses, I'm sorry. I don't either. The opening harmonica, there's something very cozy and homely about it. I'm sure we'll all agree on that one. The song doesn't start, again, I'm going back to the idea of a root chord, but it doesn't start with a root chord like a song typically might, or we might expect it to. You don't need to know about theory to hear that opening sounds maybe a little bit weaker than in other songs, and it's because of that, what I just said. So immediately with this unexpectedness, it's almost like we're being presented with an element of surprise or having no idea what's coming up. It also has this falling line which immediately becomes a theme. I noticed it throughout when the vocals come in, for example.
Talking to myself and feeling old.
There's the chromatic line underneath. Dum, 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 dum. And with the chords above them. Falling, more often than not, is associated with doom and gloom and sadness rather than rising music, which is hopeful or uplifting. Also, I don't know why I look out the window where I am. It rains most of the time, so maybe that's why it's not raining right now. But a lot of the time in music, when we're talking about raining, you might get falling. Rain falls. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case here, but it's got me thinking about it. And because of these falling lines and chromaticism when the chords change, and the chords change a lot in this song, they do a lot of different chords, to put it simply, the chords have to become non-standard. You can't just put falling lines and chromaticism with randomly changing chords and they'll always sound standard or simple. No, they create these funkier versions of the chords. Let me go on a website and find the chords and show you. Okay, here we are. You can see the lyrics of the song, and then you have all these chords like E flat major 7 over B flat 11, G minor 7 5, C7 sus 4. Sounds like a load of gibberish, I know, but that's basically just saying instead of just a regular chord, they're adding in extra funky notes in there. So while the song sounds really simple and sweet, it's not actually quite as simple and sweet as it seems. Also, and this is just really strange, there's an advert on the side here, sort of a bit of a Karen Carpenter lookalike. Spooky. Well, let's carry on with this one.
Funny, but it seems I always wind up here with you. Nice to know somebody loves me. Funny, but it seems that it's the only thing to do. Run and find the one who loves me. What I feel is come and gone before. No need to talk it out. We know what it's all about. Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down.
Oh, Mr. Groovy Saxophone. We'll come back to you in just a moment. It's funny because we got these chorus voices coming in and I was literally looking at this kind of shadowy figure behind Karen, thinking, oh, is that meant to be the choir? But no. Mr. Groovy Saxophone comes in. That's a nice touch here. And again, it's got me wondering what's going to happen next. I generally like that in music. I like being kept on my toes, especially when it's the first time hearing a song. I just mentioned the choir coming in, the backing vocals. In the introduction to this video, when we were going over the lyrics very briefly, I said it seems like the love is like the knight in shining armor. You know, love is there, the positive thing in an overarching kind of negative or sad thing.
Loves me.
The one who loves me. What better way to have the choir moment, if you will.
Nice to know somebody loves me.
It's just really cool. Something that I don't know if I've ever seen, or if I have, it's been 1 or 2 times. A female singing while playing the drums. I mean, even a male singing while playing the drums. But yeah, I just think there's something really cool about this. And her voice as well. You know, she has this contralto type of voice.
Funny, but it seems that it's the only thing to do.
It's a deep voice. She's singing low for a woman, generally speaking, but because of how it is and there's a certain delicateness to it, it doesn't seem that way, especially how light she's making some of the phrases, like the phrase we just heard at the top.
Funny, but it seems that it...
And now she's already dropped straight the way back down. After the choir moment on The One Who Loves Me, I want you to listen out to the bass line. Again, it's that falling chromatic bass. Dum, 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 dum.
What I feel is come and gone before.
And you might have heard it's going. Repeating to that same note, just I don't know, it's a nice way of one, splitting up a straight chromatic fall, making the rhythms of the bass a little bit more interesting, a little bit more jumpy, but also if the top part isn't moving and the lower part's moving down, it kind of creates this very subtle illusion at the bottom of things opening up a little bit. If we look at where it comes in the song,
no need to talk it out. We know what it's all.
We get the first sign of the backing choir coming in. The harmonica is making a return. We're kind of at the thickest texture, or in other words, the most number of things we're hearing at any one time. Voices, main melody, piano, drums, harmonica, violins, bass, you know, that there's a lot in there. Naturally, the more things you have in a song or an arrangement, or the more parts you have, the more noisy it can sound. And when I use the word noisy, I guess it has a double meaning. Obviously, the first meaning would be more volume, but also if something is noisy, it's not messy, but there's more potential for it to start to become a bit less clear. So with a song like this, with again, I'll refer to it kind of like the Carpenters sound, which in my mind is a very soft, calm, soothing type of sound. I'm sure that's something they have to consider when writing these songs, when making the arrangements. We've obviously just had a saxophone come in, which is a very unsubtle. Maybe you might think it's quite uncalming or soothing. Depends on the song. So I'm really curious to see what happens with it. So let's carry on from there. If you enjoy these videos or find them helpful, please consider supporting me. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive benefits, behind the scenes videos, additional reaction content, Q&A videos, and more. For a one-time donation, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee link, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. And a huge thank you to these lovely people on the screen now.
It seems that it's the only thing to do. Run and find the one who loves me. What I feel is come and gone before.
Lovely segue into the key change there, very, very subtle. And it's the line in the violins. The violins, I have been thinking this the whole way, they were there underneath Mr. Groovy Saxophone Man. They've got such smooth legato lines, just kind of moving in stepwise fashion, steps up, steps down, that falling theme that we've been hearing throughout. And here they have the line that really holds together this key change.
Who loves me? What I feel is come and gone before. No need to talk it out. We know what it's all about. Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days, Mondays always get me down. Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days, Mondays always get me down.
Oh, nice. And finishing there, just a reminder that the chords we hear are not standard simple chords. There was this really gorgeous dissonance right at the end, which I was wondering if they would resolve or not, but they did. They resolved up instead of down, which we might typically expect. Can you hear that line in there? Ending with the harmonica, of course, just as the song started. Yeah, it's a nice song. It's a nice song. I'm sure we can all agree on that. There was one bit that made me chuckle, and we hadn't really seen Mr. Groovy Harmonica for the whole thing, but then they show him here.
We know what it's all about.
And he's about to start singing along, but the voice that comes in is that of women.
Hanging around, nothing to do but.
And then the men come in on the round. Obviously, we're hearing a backing track with the vocals in. I do understand that, don't worry. But that bit I thought was quite fun.
Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days, Mondays always get me down.
Yeah, a nice song. It's, you know, rainy days and Mondays. A lot of people don't like Mondays. There are many famous songs slating Mondays. New Order, Blue Monday, Boomtown Rats, Tell Me Why I Don't Like Mondays. Rainy days, who likes a rainy day? I've just been away and it was raining every day, and you just think, oh, please just give me a day without any rain. But on the flip side, rainy days can make it feel really cozy when you're inside and warm and you hear the rain pitter-pattering. And I think this song has something almost magical about it, where they've really captured this element. I don't know, it's kind of a sad song, but at the same time, it doesn't make you feel sad, at least not in the case of me. I'm sure there'll be comments disagreeing with that, and please go ahead. I'm always happy to see everyone else's thoughts. If you made it this far, hopefully you enjoyed, so likes help as well. And if you don't want to comment any words, we'll go for an emoji. Today's emoji will be the drums in honor of Karen's lovely playing. And yeah, I think we'll leave that one there. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.